Hey, welcome to Go to Your Own Research Saturday night live stream. I'm sorry I'm late. I was trying to get everything together, and it's really weird because with the Epstein files, you you can't save them. Like it lets you look at the PDFs and then it closes them. And so you can't really do as much preparation as I normally would. But anyway, I thought it'd be cool if you haven't been to my channel before. I talk a lot about what goes on behind the scenes in the media world through my own experience of working in the fashion industry. I've been covering a lot of the exhibits shown in the Blake Lively versus Baldoni case because it shows us literally how our media is influenced and orchestrated by people with money, celebrities, studios, etc., politicians. So yeah, I obviously, like everyone, I've been looking at the Epstein files. I did a deep dive around Christmas time into Epstein and Michael Jackson's relationship because I'm a little bit obsessed with it. I guess I'm obsessed with it because I know people are lying about it. The more I hear, oh, he just went round there for this, he just went round there for that, I know you're lying because there's now a CD-ROM with Michael Jackson's name written on it in Epstein's house. So, and the two photos that we were shown in the last batch of the Epstein files are different from the ones. Well, one is different from the one that's on Getty Images that everyone's like, oh, that photo's been out for ages. Like, this is so basically different. The difference is so obvious. But yeah, so to me, I like to pick on these little things, and I've spent a lot of time looking at Michael Jackson history because it just fascinates me. The same people that say Michael Jackson is innocent are the same people that will say that someone who's accused of other sexual abuse is innocent. So, do you know what I mean? You have to start working out what's going on here. But yeah, so we had like something like 1 million new pages to look at. I'm just going to start with this. And obviously, it's like, where do you start? So I started with, where I'd already looked at. So I looked at Michael Jackson. I found the CD-ROM, which I don't see anyone talking about. I saw that he had been talked about. I saw that Rabbi Shmuley had been talked about. And there's just over in the UK, like the reason why I'm doing this as well is because I've not seen too much commentary about the Epstein files in the UK. Obviously, it's predominantly US, and there are a lot of UK people mentioned. Tommy Robinson, I was not expecting that. A YouTuber called Sean Atwood, who I've made a video about. Yep, couldn't believe it. Obviously, this guy, Ken Macdonald, that I'm going to talk about in a minute. So, yeah, I do like, I don't do political, okay? And the channel I've been watching that's been really, really good from the UK is this guy, Chris, I think it's Kunzer, something like that. It's not like, he wouldn't normally be my cup of tea, but for this, he's been really good. That's how I found out about this murder thing. It's another murder cover-up. And why it's so interesting is because I've already talked in some of my other live streams about how we have this active court case going on between these PR companies, these PR gurus, these power PRs of Hollywood that are suing each other, where they've covered up women's death. And so now we've got this situation where a woman's death has been covered up since 2008. And when I went to look at it, I'm going to show you, it's on the BBC and the New York Post. The New York Post every single time. One sec. I don't know what I'm looking at there. But my daughter's about to get on a plane. She's been stressing, so she's texting me like mad. She does know that I'm doing this. But so yeah, what was I saying? I forgot what I was going to say. It's the way they have these go-tos, and so what I find incredible about this whole release of the Epstein files is the lack of coverage about it, the lack of insight. People saying, well, there's nothing incriminating for us to look at. No one's done anything wrong. Am I crazy? There's so much in here that is people doing stuff wrong that should be getting talked about. I know Peter Mandelson's been getting talked about, but like, I even knew half of this stuff that he had done when he got appointed, because I saw someone talking about it, and obviously because I look into a lot of this financial stuff, made sense to me. There is absolutely zero way that the people in the government do not know about this stuff. What are MI5 employed for? What are all these special secret service police forces employed for if they are not able to find this stuff out? That's what I found, just like confirmation of that. We have full confirmation this is what is going on. Number one. Number two, what I find crazy about reading some of these files is, you know, the expression money doesn't make you happy, and you know, it's never seemed truer than reading the Epstein files, because he definitely was not happy. But it's more than that. It's like his daily life just sounds like anyone else's, not in the terms of like who he was meeting and stuff like that, but he's still got the same shit going on. Like, he's arguing with his girlfriend about food going moldy in the fridge. He's talking about the dog shitting on the floor, which I have seen that happening in rich people's houses. And sending YouTube videos, and just like what everyone else does, really. Only he was flying around. He could have done anything he wanted. And yeah, he just seems like he was an unhappy dude. In fact, he says he's unhappy in the Steve Bannon interview. So I think we're going to talk about that a bit as well, because from me like looking into Hiltzig PR and talking about his relationship to Mr. Beast and how propaganda works and how all of these commentary channels are either being paid or they're part of the propaganda machine to put out what we see, the content that we see. So I kind of had come across Steve Bannon as being the head of this organization called Breitbart. He was actually a banker at JP Morgan. And, you know, when I first heard of JP Morgan, well, not when I first heard of JP Morgan, I suppose it's one of those names that you kind of think you've heard of it, but then it's on Real Housewives. One of the ex-wives is on Real Housewives. I forgot her name, something Morgan. But yeah, so Steve Bannon was an investor in Cambridge Analytica, and I had made this video like a few months ago now about how Cambridge Analytica was used not just to rig the elections, but how so-called commentary channels and entertainment channels bought up Facebook ads based on the data collected by Cambridge Analytica to boost their views and engagement, because Cambridge Analytica like analyzes people's personal profiles on Facebook and lets them know, we think this person's going to really fall for that one. And this has been going on now for 10 years. So I just find it really interesting. And also because this Breitbart, because bear in mind, yeah, until I started my channel, I didn't know half of this stuff, was where that guy Milo worked, who worked with Kanye West. And that's when Kanye West turned into this MAGA figure. It all starts to make sense. It's like, wow, okay. So Steve Bannon is an investor for JP Morgan. He then invests in this intelligence data gathering company, which a lot of British like aristocrats and like people in the government and lords and all them invest in this stuff. Look at any of them, you'll see they own companies that do this stuff. Yeah. But yeah, so obviously we all saw Kanye turning into this, going down that MAGA road, and it was like, what? So Steve Bannon effectively helped Trump win that election in 2016. Also, you know, people say it's related to Brexit. We see them talking about Brexit in the emails. It's crazy. Tommy Robinson. Everything that you're like, how did this happen? The answers are in these files. Yeah, so it all made sense to me, and I figured I'll talk about that a little bit. But the first place I wanted to go was the Epstein Reddit page, because I don't find Reddit the best place, especially with the Michael Jackson. Like, I've been really trying to get into sharing my information over there, and it's just like people are so not informed. But I feel like the Epstein subreddit is pretty good. So I have gone over there, and what I wanted to start by saying as well is like another thing I noticed in these emails, because I've read like a lot of them. You could literally put in any word and you will be on there for an hour, 2 hours. Then you come back to it. It's like almost like addictive because it's never ending. But the way that he talks to women is disgusting as well. Like, he has no respect for women. And he's like, you didn't listen to what I say. That's how you ended up like this. Talks about their weight. Like, he's obsessed about they need to lose weight. A lot of stuff. I just realized something. Okay. But yeah, so I go to the Reddit page, and the first thing I see is this video, and it says Donald Trump was a judge, and it's like, obviously Donald Trump was so involved in this stuff, but I'm just not going to talk about him tonight because I don't really want to focus on Americans. I want to focus on the British people. Donald Trump was a judge at a teen modeling contest in 1991. The contest featured girls as young as 14. Recently, the Guardian newspaper discovered that the contest was a front for millionaires to have sex with the girls. So One thing I find really disgusting with the media in general, even now, is how they frame these girls, these women, young girls that were drawn into these circles. We can see Epstein openly talking about trafficking women and couples to do work, mainly young women. He had a bunch of guys traveling around the world sending him pictures of girls, discussing their anatomy and setting them up in positions openly. And in the media, it's framed, and how he tried to frame it with his comeback, which he was planning, as they were sex workers. These were not sex workers. These were women that were forced into this. They were made an offer and they made mistakes in their choices, and all of a sudden they're categorized as sex workers. I don't think you can call any woman of a teenage a sex worker or a P word. I don't even want to say the word anymore. So I find that particularly disgusting in the media. Like, there's just no effort to reframe that narrative, even now. Epstein did not use sex workers. He deliberately targeted girls that had no background in that, because it made his life a lot easier. They would be much easier to control. But yeah, look at this. Has it got volume? Yeah.
Trying to help our judges discover what makes each one special.
Your 5'9" reading? Serious, huh?
We measure again tonight before the game.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Amy.
The concentration was intense inside the judging room.
They don't like you as you are.
And out.
Just so excited.
Each girl was considered not only for her beauty and poise, but also for her personality and that indefinable something extra that makes a top model.
Okay, you want to pull your hair back 1 second? Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Ingrid. Good luck for tonight.
Thank you.
When it came time to choose the 21 finalists, emotions ran high as each judge expressed his or her opinion.
Yeah, so that's that. Not sex workers. These are not sex workers, yeah? Look how excited and innocent they are. Now, I wanted to show this. I couldn't find the messages that he was texting with his girlfriend. I think I saw it on there yesterday. But I was trying to have a flick through earlier when I was getting ready, and I couldn't find anything. Oh yeah, Pizzagate. I am going to talk about Pizzagate, because everyone's always said that, well, there's been suggestions that Pizzagate was a conspiracy started by the right, yeah, to make the left look bad. The right and the left in America is Republican versus Democrat. Let's be clear, they're both equally as shameful. They have equal amounts of despicable people with the same interests. Sorry, I'm not the best at articulating myself, by the way. I thought I would just like go live, see if anyone's interested, just talk about this stuff, show what I've got to show, and then, you know, that's how I do my videos. It's nice when I have people joining in the chat, but I haven't got anyone at the moment. Right, so yeah, there were these messages when he's talking and his girlfriend that was going to show, but you can just take my word for it. Yeah, so they're saying that Brett Ratner was with Melania in that house. I don't know about that. I did a deep dive into Brett Ratner as well on my Michael Jackson deep dive because they were like really good friends. And in the UK, like, I don't think really anyone knows who Brett Ratner is or cares. I don't think I'm ever going to find it.
Answer the question.
Unless, what about if I put mold? Did they spell it like that? Pizza mold. No. Wow, I wasn't expecting that many. What else did he say in them? Fridge. Let's try fridge. This was just going to be my little fun intro. Trump traveled to Ireland, mentioned by Perry Lang. Along with Prince Andrew, Clinton, Nathan, somebody or other. Oop. Ghislaine Maxwell and me. Yeah, it wasn't Ghislaine Maxwell he was talking about. I guess it's media. I guess yeah, that's not going to come up. But yeah, you'll have to take my word for it on that. So yeah, I was saying earlier, sorry, I lost my concentration. This guy, Chris, okay, he starts talking about, he's been doing, like, he does like 3 to 4 hours a day of live streaming. I'm lucky, you're lucky if you get a week out of me. But I really do want to talk about this stuff because, like I was saying earlier, I'm not a political channel. I'm not in any way politically motivated, but I know that none of the people that talk about politics, they understand that this doesn't just relate to politics, like it relates to all of the other stuff that we're presented with, whether it's Hollywood movies or entertainment content, gossip channels. And that's how they're trying to win votes. So I've yet to see people really doing this political commentary, talking about the PR stuff. Oh, look, here's one I saw earlier. Here is Epstein asking former UK ambassador Peter Mandelson if he knows any non-US products that might want the endorsement of Leonardo DiCaprio because Leo wants to make money. From Jeffrey Epstein to meet Peter Mandelson. Can you think of anyone in India, China, Japan, etc., that might want the endorsement of Leonardo DiCaprio? It's just crazy. That means you see Leonardo DiCaprio advertising some product. You think these people were the ones arranging it? I didn't think it was. I didn't really. If it was like Bitcoin and stuff. Like, so yeah, that was another thing I found out. Epstein invested $3 million into Coinbase. That was like a big Bitcoin exchange platform, which I did actually use, I think, at one point.
Of at least 50.
Anyway, that's all that. Let me move on to something different. So, oh yeah, then we had Coffeezilla. He's doing a good job. We're going to get onto him in a minute. I think I'm going to go to this story, because you can go so deep with it as well. So he's talking to this guy. There's messages to Ken Macdonald, but he's talking to this guy, Jeffrey Shaher, who's a Yemeni billionaire. He's actually dead. But I don't remember hearing about this story. You know, I'm just talking about, like, because I don't really watch mainstream news, so I know the BBC have covered it. But if this was a black immigrant living in this country that had done this crime, they would not shut up about it. You would be hearing about it every minute of the day. That's why it's so sus reading about this in the Epstein files. I'm just trying to remember his actual name. Shaher Abdulhak. Right? So yeah, as I said, we've got the BBC and we've got, oh, I'm going to play that in a minute. We've got the other go-to for anyone trying to cover up a crime, sorry. The New York Post. Olivia Land. Remember, we have to start remembering these names. I'm sick of people saying there's nothing to incriminate anyone. I don't see how you can find this anything other than incriminating. Yemeni billionaire's son confesses to 2008 sex accident killing. Yeah? All this. That's her. Martine Vick Magnuson, 23, was found dead on March 16th, 2008. Farouk Abdulhak has been in isolation in Yemen for nearly 2 decades. Isolation? Let's go back to the BBC. Oh, sorry, it wasn't the BBC. This is in the Telegraph. This is in the Telegraph, yeah? This is like a top Tory rag paper. Newspaper. I can't remember who it's owned by, but yeah, their interests are pro-Tory. So they reported on it and they said Epstein asked former DPP, so that's is it Department of Prosecutions? I'm not sure. He's top level prosecution department of UK, our justice system, yeah, to advise on fugitive sex murderer case. Ken Macdonald spoke with financier on phone before advising Yemen billionaire whose son was suspected killer. This was written yesterday at 8:30 p.m. Oh, I can only read the first bit. So I found it on Yahoo on my iPad, and because I'm doing this on a laptop, it wouldn't. I don't know. It wouldn't let me. I couldn't airdrop it. So you have to pay to read the article. So I can read it out for you. You notice you see this picture is of her, what she looked like, but the photos you'll see in the tabloids are when she's out in the club. Totally different image. I think there's that's her with her mates. Oh, sorry. Yeah, this is the tabloid image. Totally different look. And then out with her mates. So yeah, I'm going to read this article. Let me go back to this picture of her. Jeffrey Epstein arranged for the UK's former chief prosecutor. Bear in mind, our current Prime Minister is the former head of the Crown Prosecution Service. To give legal advice to a wealthy friend whose son was wanted for the murder of a young woman in London, Ken Macdonald, Baron Macdonald of Riverglaven, was paid $20,000 to travel to Paris to advise Shaher Abdulhak, a Yemeni billionaire whose son was on the run. Farouk Abdulhak remains wanted on suspicion of the murder and rape of Martine Vik Magnussen, a 23-year-old Norwegian woman whose body was found in the basement of a block of flats in the West End in March 2008. The dead woman's father, Odd Peter Magnussen, said it was completely wrong for Lord Macdonald to take money for advertising the father of the man wanted for her murder. At the time Mr. Magnussen's daughter was killed, Lord Macdonald was a director of public prosecutions. This is someone working for our civil service at the top level. And Epstein just got in contact with him and went, "Hey, mate, got a little 20 grand gig for you here." Lord Macdonald stepped down as head of the Crown Prosecution Service to return to private practice in October 2008. 6 months after Mr. Magnussen was raped and strangled. Ms. Magnussen was raped and strangled. It's so annoying, so I can't show you the picture of him. Let me show you a picture of him, actually. I do have this picture of him, but there's another picture of him standing on his stairway with all his pictures on the walls, with his dado, with his paneling and his dado rail or whatever it's called. Yeah, so this is the Matrix chambers that he works for. Lord Ken Macdonald, KC, a man who has seen and done it all and is held in the highest esteem. Yeah? Lord Kenneth Macdonald, highest esteem, a senior statesman of the bar, one of the safest pairs of hands at the bar. Mr. Magnuson told the Telegraph a former director of public prosecutions should not be taking money to advise the father of a suspect. It's absolutely not right. This is the woman's dad. I'm shocked, but I'm not surprised. This is the way both Epstein and Abdulhak's father operated. Lord Macdonald said on Friday he had never met Epstein in person and had only spoken to him once on the telephone. He said he had intervened in the case. He'd never met Epstein in person. So, I'm sorry, that really doesn't mean anything. You've never met him in person. That doesn't mean you didn't want to accept 20k off of him. And had only spoken to him once on the telephone. He said he had intervened in the case to try and secure the suspect's return to the UK to face trial. He said, "My conduct of the case was in no way unethical or any sort of breach of professional conduct rules." Right. A post-mortem examination, we're going I mean, if it isn't a breach of rules, it sure as hell should be. I would just think that Mr. Highest level of safety and ethics would oh no, don't say I just accidentally closed my window. I'm really not good with oh my god, now it's giving me the Premier League. Oh, I can't get back to the Epstein files. Okay, let me go back to Epstein files. I had it already. I had Ken Macdonald's name typed in. Here we go. Okay, I'm sure you're sick of seeing his face. Ken Macdonald. So yeah, let me just read that again. I never met him. Never met him in person and had only spoken to him once on the telephone. These messages are in 2012. I think pretty much everyone had heard about Jeffrey Epstein being a convicted sex offender in 2008. We all knew that formerly Prince Andrew was implicated. So I just find it incredible that he's got the cheek to come out with this statement, which the Telegraph has happily printed. I'll just go on to say as well. A post-mortem examination found Miss Magnuson had died from compression to the neck, and her body had 43 cuts and grazes that were said to be typical of an assault or struggle. Mr. Abdulhak and his alleged victim were both students at Regent Business School in central London. There's a picture of him with machine gun. On the night she died, Miss Magnuson had been celebrating her end-of-term exams with friends and left the Maddox nightclub in Mayfair with Mr. Abdulhak around 3 a.m. At some stage, they returned to his flat in Great Portland Street. Mr. Abdulhak flew out of Britain the following day. They've got him on CCTV at the airport. Around 24 hours before Miss Magnuson's semi-naked body was discovered. She had been buried under rubble in the basement of the block where Mr. Abdulhak was living. Police said that when her body was found, items were missing, including her jeans, a watch, a designer handbag, snakeskin shoes, and Christian Dior earrings. Mr. Abdulhak's disappearance prompted desperate calls for him to return and face trial, but Yemen refused a UK demand for him to be extradited in a one-off request. Lord Macdonald subsequently travelled to Yemen, where he met the suspect and tried to persuade him to return to the UK to face justice. Farouk Abdulhak declined to do so. He said he had met investigating officers from Scotland Yard to discuss the meeting. Emails and correspondence contained in the Epstein files show that Epstein spoke with Lord Macdonald in early June 2012. 2 weeks later, on June 20th, the former director of public prosecutions travelled to Paris to meet Shaher Abdulhak, who was Yemen's richest man. The call between Lord Macdonald and Epstein was brokered by Ian Osborne, regarded as a fixer to the rich and powerful. So he's saying, oh, I only had one phone call with him. Never met him. It was all Ian. 2 days later, on June 6th, Lord Macdonald told Mr. Osborne, let's see if we can see some of these. Look, there's the June. Sixth of June 2012. Ken MacDonald. Redacted. I thought it was meant to be victims that were redacted. Who's the victim here? Oh, this one's... Sorry, that was... It's really hard to know what dates they're using, date format they're using. This is 6th of June, 2012. Jeffrey Epstein. Oh no, June 5th. Sorry, it says sent when Wednesday 6th. Oh, he forwarded it. Ken MacDonald. Wait, this isn't... Did I put his name in correctly? Maybe, did I spell his name correctly? Because I'm sure I found... I think I spelled his name wrong. Sorry. This is my kind of commentary. Yeah. Spelling has never been my strong point, but I was like, wait, I know there was way more than this. Okay, so they arranged a trip from Paris to Paris for this guy. Look, Shaher. By the way, this guy's code name that they used for him was Mr. Evil, and Epstein introduced him to Steve Bannon, I think. He literally had him on his guest list. He was part of his entourage. He introduced him to the Rothschild women that he worked for. June 6, 2012, for your eyes, sir. So he's there saying, oh, I never met him. It was just a phone call. I didn't know. I think he's trying to imply, well, I didn't know anything about that. I do not believe it. Ken MacDonald, Lord Macdonald's trip to Paris. Dear sir, I hope you are very well today. I understand that you would like to organise a meeting with Lord Macdonald in Paris soon, so you can discuss some legal issues with him. The best day in the near future would be 20th June. Lord Macdonald's fee for preparation for and attendance at a meeting in Paris would be £20,000 sterling, plus VAT. That's another... What was VAT in 2012? I don't remember. But let's say it would have been pushing 20%. Plus first-class travel expenses. We would also require council's hotel accommodation to be paid separately if the need to make an overnight stay in Paris should arise. We would require receipt of the agreed funds by Friday, 15th June. That is a fast payment. No, do you know what normal payment terms for most people that have a business in the UK? 30 days. We would require receipt of the agreed funds by Friday, 15th June. I can provide you with Matrix Chambers bank details so that payment for council's work can be made electronically. I would be grateful if you would confirm that the quoted fee is agreeable to you and that you can pay in advance by the 15th June. Once we have confirmation, I shall liaise with you to finalise timing, venue, etc. We are very much looking forward to assisting you. I attach Lord Macdonald's CV for your reference. Yours ever, Paul Venables, or whoever Paul Venables is. I guess it's his agent. You think Paul Venables isn't going back to tell Lord Macdonald, wait, who was the message to? Oh, it's redacted. It's redacted. Why is that redacted? This is the opposite of protecting a victim. This is covering up. Protecting people that committed a crime against the victim. Let me look at this one. From Ken MacDonald. Dear Mr. Abdulhak, thank you for your email. My practice manager, Paul Venables, will be in contact with you tomorrow to confirm the details we discussed. Okay. But this was all arranged by Jeffrey Epstein. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know how they get away with this stuff. I don't understand why this is legal. And you're like saying that you're trying to do anything to protect the safety of women or help solve crimes. Ken, I've spoken to Jeffrey and he will call you today. If not, perhaps you can suggest the time tomorrow. He is copied here, so you can coordinate directly. I'll give you a ring when I'm back in London later this week to find a date for dinner. Best wishes, Ian. So Ian is telling Ken he's spoken to Jeffrey and he'll call you today. Oops, I just looked at that one. I'm just going through them all because sometimes you just see something. Ian to Jeffrey, forward call. So this is on the 5th of June. Please blow. I will call you once I've spoken to him. Like, we all know what they're speaking to him about. And I think there's even like, I don't know if I'd be able to find it, but there's even the email when they're talking about him needing some help with this problem. Please see blow. Oh, well, I've spoken to him. Sure, I'll call around 2 p.m. UK time if that suits you. For these people, 20 grand is nothing. Ken, I hope you are well. Could you please possibly give me a ring Tuesday? I'm in New York on the usual mobile. There is a particular matter that I think you are well placed to advise on. Ian. I haven't actually looked up Ian Osborne. Is he even known? Ian Osborne, fixer. The amount of these fixers. Epstein propelled investment career of UK power broker Ian Osborne. Oh my God. I am sick of these people. I really, really dislike Google search results. I don't use Google on my iPad. But, okay, Financial Times. This was from 2025. I'm probably not going to be able to show you it, but Ian Osborne, fixer to the rich and powerful behind Epstein's Project Jess. I think that's something to do with Jess Staley. He literally is in emails talking about sending money for trafficking. I don't know how any of these people can pretend that they are innocent. And I don't know how any authorities can pretend that they're innocent. But here we are. It's a dark and murky world that affects every single one of us. Right, so we've looked at Ian setting up the call. There's a lot of emails here. Dear Ian, Jeffrey and I have spoken, and I've now spoken to the other party. We hope to meet in Paris later this month. See you in London soon. Best wishes, Ken. Ken to my friends. He's copied here. So they were in direct contact. I don't know what he's trying to deny. What is this one? Oh, December 12th. 2012. So this is 6 months later. Hani Salah. I don't know who he is. I really do not know half of these people are. But then when you look them up, you're like, oh, yes. Dear Ken, it was good to talk to you earlier. I have conveyed our earlier conversations to Mr. Shaher. In line with that, please see the details below of getting in contact with Mr. Bondavik and Mr. Elnar of the Oslo Centre, as was agreed. This strategy will be thrashed out in the meeting in Paris, and then the contacts with them can begin. The Oslo Centre for Peace and Human Rights? Why are these in the Epstein files? This is madness. It's all madness. I told you. We're living in mental illness right now, where we're being told there's nothing incriminating in these emails. And that's what I was going to say earlier. Right? I'm just some random person that looks on the internet, right? That started thinking, why do I get all this propaganda shown to me when I've never been interested in right-wing politics or any politics? It's so hard to avoid. If I can look this stuff up and see what's going on, why can the media, the people that actually do this for their job, why are they not reporting on these things more? Ken Macdonald, known as Lord Macdonald to commoners like us. Oh, this was on the 4th of June. I hate how the emails are not in order. Sure. Ian Osborne's calling himself a commoner. Him and Jeffrey Epstein are commoners. What are we then? What does that make us? Sure, let me just call him first and explain who you are, etc. I'm sorry, as if Lord Macdonald has not heard who Jeffrey Epstein is. His number is, but I'll email you once I've spoken to him, which will be tomorrow, realistically. So, I don't know. Jeffrey Epstein, it looks like to me, just contacted Ian Osborne and said, I need to speak to Ken Macdonald. And he's like, Ken Macdonald? You mean Lord Macdonald? Like, you didn't use his full title, Jeff. But literally just passed his number on. I'm just saying, there's 3 pages. What's this one? Oh, yeah, I just read that one. Sorry. I want to get back to the story and the girl's dad, but I think if this guy had any decency, he would be fully ashamed of being caught in these emails. Clearly soliciting business from Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex offender. And then with one of the most dodgiest people in the world, if you look up whatever his name is, Shahed, whatever, Bahrain billionaire. This is how you make your money? And you work in the justice system? We're on page 2. What's this one sent from my iPad? Ooh. From South Africa. Oh, I just read that one. Yeah, they just showed that one again. But it seems like Jeffrey Epstein was hooking Ken up with an awful lot of different people. Just a casual observer would make that assumption. Correct me if I'm wrong. I hate them all. Shaher. Dear Sir. Lord Macdonald's trip to Paris. Dear Sir, I hope you are very well today. I understand that you would like to organise a meeting with Lord Macdonald in Paris soon so you can discuss some legal issues with him. The best day in the near future would be 20th June. Lord Macdonald's... Oh, I read this already. Yeah, I read this already. Why did Jeffrey say I hate them all? I don't get it. Hello, friend. Does he say he is a Jacob descendant? This is in November. What does that mean? He is... Hello, friend. It does say he is a Jacob descendant. The transfer will be effected from my personal account. Shaher Abdulhak, Sheba Hotel. Okay, we'll book Lord Ken Macdonald at the Mandarin Hotel, Saint Honore. Nice. Nice hotel, Ken. Dear Shaher, a 10 a.m. start is fine on Monday. Ken will probably leave at around 3 p.m. to get his train back to London. Please do book a hotel room for Ken for Sunday night. That would be very kind. For avoidance of doubt, I understand you will pay for Ken's room in addition to the fees I have already quoted. We are in the process of booking the travel tickets, and I will let you know the final cost of the trip and send you an invoice as soon as possible. Blah, 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 blah. Nicey, nicey, nicey. Shall I book the hotel for Lord? As to the address? Dear Shaher. I can't be able to read all of these. Hello, my brother, who is the chairman of our operations in Egypt and follows this matter, has an important meeting fixed earlier with Minister of Industry, and it will be difficult to change the date. Can we adjust our meeting to any other day? Lord Macdonald needs to be in London on the evening of the 19th, I'm afraid, so he will have to travel to Paris on the Eurostar on the morning of the 20th. And will arrive in Paris for a 12:30 meeting that day. Maybe this is why he says I hate them. I really don't know. It's a lot of emails and stuff. But anyway, I feel like they're all on pretty close terms. That's just me. Am I wasting too much time with this? I don't know. It's just kind of fascinating. Lord Macdonald's trip to Paris. From Shaher to J.E. I think you are right, something like house arrest plus charity work due to his age. Also studying. So, oh my God. Okay, I'm glad I clicked on this one. Right, where does it start? 12:35. So do we have to go down to the bottom and then go up? I'm so confused. Oh, so this is this is them setting up the meeting. Dear sir, I hope you're good. I understand you would like to organise a meeting with Lord Macdonald. So, okay, so Lord Macdonald's on that one. For your eyes, sir, wrote Shaher. Do you think he is really Jewish? From his CV, he seems well positioned with vast experience. If he manages to undo the tangled web of tissues, then I will stamp that he is a direct descendant of Jacob like you and me. How are you enjoying the Caribbean? He can't even spell it. So, I don't know why he needs to be Jewish, but is he Jewish? This email's dark. At 23:42, Jeffrey Epstein wrote, I talked to him. This sounds like he talked to him again, Ben. This sounds like he talked to him again. People that have said stuff like, oh, I think Jeffrey Epstein did blackmail, blah, blah, blah. No. Not in this instance. He's doing what you call palm. What's it called? You cross someone's palm with silver? Or private handshakes? I talked to him. He said rough sex case is not unusual. Autopsy would be a factor, but not a big one. Drugs are not a defense. He thought he would get bail, reduced charge, and would not exaggerate his potential strengths. He held the position of head of prosecutions, the exact same position that he would be dealing with. Norway has put pressure on the government. I think you should focus on what punishment would be acceptable. Time spent, maybe a form of house arrest, work charity. The high profile nature is a problem. The press will highlight any issues. I think you are right. Something like house arrest plus charity work due to his age. Charity work. This guy shouldn't be going anywhere near. I don't know what kind of charity work they think he's capable of. Do some labouring in a field or something. Due to his age, also studying. The cause, maybe he was rough sex, too much alcohol, and maybe drugs, at least one of them. Well, okay, Jeffrey. No, that's from the dad. Oh my God, I just can't with these people, honestly. They live on another planet. There's more. There is more. This is on the 26th of June. Good afternoon. Hope you're well. Lord Macdonald is in Uganda. He is travelling and will let me know when he gets to a phone in the hope that you and him can talk this afternoon. I'll be in touch. I wonder what he was doing over in Uganda. This looks like a lot of wheeling and dealing going on with these people. I really want to know what this Jewish thing's about. I don't know anything about that. Oh. Oh, essay is Shaher Abdulhak. Dear Shala, if you are going to call from Yemen, I think the time zones for Yemen and Uganda are the same. What time would you like to call Ken? It's 2:15 here in London. Jeffrey Epstein was literally CC'd on every one of these messages. Wild, 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 wild. They just all seem to be repeating stuff, so I just don't want to miss anything that I haven't looked at. Oh, seen that. Seen that. What's that one? Okay. Anyway, let's go back to the story. I'll show you the New York Post. As you know, the New York Post is the go-to for crimes against women cover-up. March 29th, 2023. The son of a Yemeni billionaire has confessed to being involved in the 2008 death of a student in London. So bear in mind that was 13 years later, 2012 to 23. Yeah, 12 years later. Farouk Abdulhak, son of the late tycoon Shaher Abdulhak, has been on the Metropolitan Police's This guy has been on the Metropolitan Police's most wanted list since March 2008. The former head of Prsosecutions in the UK had a meeting with his dad in 2012 to talk about, I guess, getting his charges reduced, for which he got paid £20,000 and stayed at the Mandarin in Paris, Mandarin Oriental. When he fled London within days of the suspicious death of his Regent's business school classmate, Martin Vic Magnuson, 23, the BBC reported. In a recent string of text messages with BBC correspondent Nawal Al-Maghafi, Abdulhak, who has lived in isolation Yemen for 15 years, says that he did something when he was younger. It was a mistake. She has a recorded phone call with him. I can't specifically go to the UK for something that happened here, he explained, though he admitted that he should have stayed in London and paid the piper. Paid the piper? Vic Magnuson, who was from Norway, was last seen by her friends leaving the Maddox nightclub in Mayfair, where a group of them, including Abdulhak, had been celebrating the end of exams. Eager to keep the night going, Vic Magnuson and Abdulhak were captured on CCTV heading towards the latter's Great Portland Street apartment at 2:59 a.m. That's him. On March 16th, Vic Magnuson's partially nude body was found. Oh, let me go back to that in a minute. In the basement of Abdulhak's building, she had been raped and had compression to the neck, indicating she was strangled, held down, or smothered, the BBC said. Abdulhak immediately emerged as a suspect, but you think He was actually out with her. He was seen on CCTV leaving the club with her. I think they were in some kind of a relationship, whether it was friends. And he's found in the basement of his apartment and he's disappeared. He'd already taken a commercial flight to Cairo and absconded to Yemen on his father's private jet. In a later exchange, Abdulhak told al-Maghafi that Vic Magnuson's death was nothing nefarious and dismissed it as a sex accident gone wrong. He's getting the talking points from Jeffrey Epstein. Look, that's him leaving the club. Oh, this thing is so annoying. That's CCTV. One of Vic Magnuson's friends, Tail Lasson, told the BBC that Abdulhak may have tried to kiss her at one point, but she rebuffed his advances, though she frequently stayed over at his apartment. Two other pals, Nina Brantsegg and Cecile Dahl, remember Abdulhak acting strangely at the Maddocks that night. In his conversations with al-Maghafi, Abdulhak claimed the night of Vic Magnuson's death was all a blur because he was on cocaine at the time. He also confessed to moving Vic Magnuson's body, but said he could not remember why. Abdulhak's drug use and allegedly troubled conscience was backed by those close to his well-connected family. Yeah, seems like one phone call was all it took to get him on the phone to the DPPs, whatever his name is, to the top guy at the Crown Prosecution Service, or at the Department of Prosecutions, I should say. I don't know if they're the same thing. I really don't understand all the different departments. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. How is this not high-level corruption? Abdulhak's drug use and allegedly troubled conscience was backed by those close to his well-connected family. According to one anonymous friend of the family, Abdulhak showed up at their door in London in the early hours of March asking for cash, saying he needed to get to Cairo immediately, but his credit cards were not working. A billionaire's credit cards were not working? Or he didn't want to leave a trace? He had enough brain power to think about that, didn't he? While the friend was out getting the money, he told al-Maghali Abdulhak fell asleep on the couch and had to be woken up with ice water. He's done that to a woman and then he passes out on the couch. It was as if he was on something, they recalled. Another family friend, Jordanian businessman Abdulhay al-Majali, told al-Maghafi that Abdulhak wanted to face trial in London but was discouraged by his high-powered father. Does it sound like... Sorry. Does it sound like he wanted to face trial? I mean, but his father discouraged him? By setting up the meeting? Abdulhak wanted to go to England and sit in court and defend himself, al-Majali said. But his father advised him not to get involved and stay in Yemen because the UK does not have an extradition treaty with Yemen, the BBC noted. It is unlikely Abdulhak could ever be forced back to face justice. When asked by al-Maghafi if he would ever consider turning himself in, Abdulhak balked, I don't think justice will be served, he said. I find that the criminal justice system there in the UK, here we go, is heavily biased. Is heavily corrupted by the sound of it. I find that they will want to make an example of me being a son of an Arab, being a son of someone rich. It's way too late. Abdulhak also dismissed Vic Magnuson's family desire to know the truth. Some things are better left unsaid. The real fact is, if I don't remember what's happened, there's nothing really to say, he said. Meanwhile, Vic Magnuson and the Metropolitan Police remain hopeful that they will one day achieve closure. The Metropolitan Police can jog the hell on. I'm optimistic we might have a solution in the longer term because we can talk to him. Vic Magnuson's father, Odd Petter Magnuson, said of Abdulhak's confession. He has no empathy, obviously, with our family, and he doesn't show any sort of remorse or anything. In his statement, Magnuson urged Abdulhak to go back to the UK and tell what happened on March 14th, 2008. Because not only Martine deserves that, but also our family deserves it, the grieving father insisted. Magnuson compared the pain of losing his daughter and the long flight for justice as very close, nearly physically, to being ripped apart. How much pain and suffering have these group of people in these files caused to so many just regular people? While Abdulhak remains elusive, the Metropolitan Police's investigation continues to stutter forward. In March 2022, I couldn't believe it when I read this. A woman in her 60s was arrested on suspicion of assisting in Vic Magnuson's death. Speaking to the BBC, however, the Met confirmed that Abdulhak remains the only suspect in the killing. We continue to do everything in our power to have him return to the UK to stand trial, the agency stated. It says on, I don't know if this woman's now out, but it says in March 22, a woman was arrested in connection with the 2008 murder of Martine Vic Magnuson. Anyway, I just find it wild that they've managed to arrest a woman for a man's sex crime. But they I don't know. They're not having a word with old Kenny. Okay, this is the BBC report. Martine Vic Magnuson, billionaire son, admits role in death to BBC. So they arrested that woman in 2022. I was a student myself when Martine's body was discovered, and I found the reports about it deeply shocking, especially as the main suspect in her murder was Yemeni, and I'm also from Yemen. So when I joined the BBC as a journalist in 2011, it was one of the first stories I pursued. My main goal was to find answers for Martine's family, who regard her death as a test of international law. The UK has no extradition treaty with Yemen. But it wasn't until last year that I finally managed to make contact with Farouk Abdulhak. So his little thing about, oh, well, because I'm Arab, I'm not going to get a fair trial. This woman's working at the BBC. And I doubt if she comes from a billionaire's family. But it wasn't until last year that I finally managed to make contact with Farouk Abdulhak. My communication with him began over social media. Hundreds of journalists have reached out to him over the years and he has ignored them all. But our shared Yemen background helped me gain his trust. 10 days after we first started texting, he sent me the first of what would turn out to be a series of revelatory messages. I did something when I was younger. It was a mistake, he wrote. During the thousands of texts and hundreds of voice notes he sent me, thousands of texts and hundreds of voice notes, he sent me over 5 months. Not once did he use Martine's name or refer to her death, preferring the terms incident or accident. But the coroner's report made clear how violently the Norwegian student had died. The fact that he just dumped her in the basement and stole her clothing it tells you everything. But the coroner's wait, did I read that? The coroner's report made clear how violently the Norwegian student had died, the result of compression to the neck, which could mean she was strangled, held down, or smothered. Her body showed 43 cuts and grazes, many of them typical of assault-type injuries of those received in a struggle. Farouk and Martine both studied at Regent's Business School in London, and Martine was hoping to become a financier in the capital. The last time her friends saw her alive was during the early hours of 14th March 2008 at the exclusive Maddox nightclub in Mayfair, where she and Farouk were celebrating the end of exams. Those friends say Farouk then offered to host an after party at his apartment in Great Portland Street, central London. They were too tired to go, but say Martine wanted to continue partying. CCTV shows her leaving the club with Farouk at 2:59. There are no witnesses as to what happened next. By sunrise, she would be dead, though her body would not be discovered for at least another 48 hours. By this time, Farouk had fled the UK on a flight to Cairo. He then got on his father's private jet to Yemen. Farouk's lawyer insisted he was innocent of murder. Farouk isn't just any Yemeni brought up between the US and Egypt. He is the son of Shaher Abdulhak, one of the richest and most powerful men in Yemen. He forged an empire of sugar, soft drinks, oil, and arms, and was a close friend of the president at the time, Ali Abdullah Saleh. When I first tried to speak to Farouk in 2011, I spent months in Yemen looking for him, but I had to leave when the authorities warned me to drop the story. In February 22, I decided to look into the case again from London. By this time, Farouk's father had died and President Saleh had stepped down. I wondered if it would now be possible to get Farouk to talk, but I also knew it wouldn't be easy. When a friend got hold of his number, I messaged him over several different apps but received no response, and then the friend noticed he was using Snapchat. I sent him a message and he responded within seconds. His first question was to ask where I was from. I gave him the name of the affluent Yemeni neighborhood I grew up in, sensing that he was probably based there too. I was right. Immediately, his interest was piqued. Now I had opened a dialogue with him. It was a matter of gaining his trust, especially as I never hid my profession. In our first few exchanges, I told him I was a journalist. Our initial chats was simply about, oh, I didn't realize you were in the chat. Sorry. Hey, Kayla. Sorry, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just a bit lost in 20 million documents, but really good for you to be here. I'll go back to your comments in a minute. Background on some of the references since Epstein was in with the 4chan white supremacists. Yeah, I heard about the 4chan. Sorry, I really didn't mean to interrupt that. It was pretty heavy. Our initial chats was simply about our similar experience. Despite his incredible wealth, in some ways we had a lot in common. We exchanged stories of skiing in the same Swiss resorts, studying in the international schools, and the places we both like going to in London. And then he started to open up. Oh, wow. I did something when I was younger. It was a mistake, he texted. I told you my real name. I can't specifically go to the UK for something that happened there. She must have been getting goosebumps. She must have been like, wow, I've been waiting for over 10 years for this. The only reason I'm scared is you told me you're a writer and a journalist. You're the last person I should talk to. The speed at which he began to take me into his trust might seem surprising, but bear in mind that Farouk is incredibly isolated. His entire family lives outside Yemen, including his now ex-wife and daughter. My God, I wonder what happened to that poor woman. Having fled the country's devastating civil war, but he dare not visit any of them for fear of arrest. None of his friends who I spoke to during my investigation have heard from him since he fled, though all said they were shocked when they read about Martin's death at the time, saying his suspected involvement seemed completely out of character. I don't know how you just suddenly out of nowhere end up doing that to someone. Cuts on the body, a struggle, deposit her body down in the basement. Now that Farouk seemed ready to share more, I made it explicit that I worked for the BBC and wanted to report on his story. Amazingly, this did not stop him talking. What? So I asked him to elaborate on an earlier text exchange in which he talked about having major regrets. He replied, I deeply regret the unfortunate accident that happened. I regret coming here to Yemen. So I guess what he's saying is, even though he hates the UK, it's better than where he is. I should have stayed and paid the piper. It's funny how so much of this was left out of the New York Post version. At the same time, I was also interviewing other people connected with the case, including Martin's father and closest friends. This made the investigation one of the most difficult I've ever worked on. While I was speaking to those whose lives had been devastated by Martin's death and were desperate for answers, my phone was continually pinging with messages from Farouk. Martin's friends, Nina Brantseg and Cecile Dahl, were with her in Maddox's nightclub the night she died, and Cecile had met Farouk with Martin before and says they were friends, but that evening he seemed different, she says, becoming upset when one of them took a photo of him and Martin, though Martin seemed unaware of anything unusual. Another of Martin's friends, Tail Lassen, says she thinks Farouk had once tried to kiss Martin and she had told him she wasn't interested. In fact, she says Martin would often crash at his flat as it was so central. CCTV shows her linking arms with Farouk as they leave the club. When Martin didn't come home the next day, her friends reported her missing, but say it wasn't until someone noticed Farouk had deleted his Facebook account that police took matters seriously. They searched Farouk's apartment
and quickly found her semi-naked body in the basement of his block. By this time, he had fled the UK. The police knew that Farouk had taken a commercial flight from London to Cairo, but didn't have detailed knowledge of her escape. I guess this is the photo they're talking about. He does have a bit of a disturbed look to him. I have managed to track down one of Farouk's father's closest friends in London. This woman's done her damn work. It's sad that, you know, the BBC have this story, but this woman's like literally risking her life to do this. A man I am calling Samir, he told me he had received a call from Farouk, so this is the guy that lent him the money, in the early hours of 14th March, asking for cash, saying he was urgently needed at home in Cairo, and his credit cards weren't working. Samir says that while he was out getting cash, Farouk passed out on his sofa, and it took pouring ice-cold water on his face to revive him. It was as if he was on something, Samir tells me. He says Farouk bought a ticket for the next flight to Cairo, and we know that from there his father transported him to Yemen, somewhere Farouk had never lived before, but from where it would be impossible to extradite him. I spoke about this further with another friend of Farouk's father, Jordanian businessman Abdulhak al-Majali. His son wanted to go to England and sit in court and defend him, he told me, but his father advised him not to get involved and stay in Yemen. Jessica Wadsworth, the Met Police's lead investigator on the case at the time, admits her heart sank when they established where Farouk had gone. Maybe it's even worse. Maybe the dad thought he could get Kenneth to fix it. I don't know. I really don't know. This is so dark. Because it feels like a conspiracy theory or a movie, and it's like it's actually happened. And then this chump has got the cheek to downplay it and be like, oh, I never met Jeffrey Epstein. I only spoke to him on the phone once. Jessica Wadsworth, the Met Police lead investigator on the case at the time, admits her heart sank when they established where Farouk had gone. Because you've missed the chance, of course. I've never had a murder investigation whereby 3 or 4 days in you realise your suspect is unattainable, she says. The police met Martine's family as their flight landed from Norway to tell them the news. So you telling me this woman did her investigation and then the police went and told her family? I'm confused. Her father, Odd Petter Magnusson, told me of the devastation he felt. As a parent, that is the hardest moment of my life. Very close, nearly physically, to be ripped apart. Desperate for justice. Oh my God. Desperate for justice, Odd Petter wrote to Queen Elizabeth in 2010, who referred the killing to the then London Mayor Boris Johnson. Mr. Petter has received several UK government commitments to help resolve the case. I have kept in touch with him regularly over the past 12 years and have always promised to try to get answers about what happened to his daughter. I noticed that the press were talking about Jeffrey Epstein being a secret Russian agent. I remember when Boris Johnson went over to Russia unofficially and was photographed hungover at the airport on his own, no aides, no security, nothing. And then shortly afterwards, a Russian oligarch that he was hanging out with at his party was made a lord. Is he a Russian agent? And now I finally had the opportunity to hear Farouk's account of that night. About a month into our correspondence, I really started to try to directly dig for the truth. Do you want to? Okay, so we can actually listen to the conversation. It's pretty heavy.
As you know, for a really long time, I've been working on trying to get an interview with Farouk. And I haven't been successful. But what I have been able to do is to find him on social media and to him over some time and try and get you as many answers as possible. And I guess one thing that I want to explain before you hear some of this is that there were moments that I really wanted to get angry about some of the things he says, but I couldn't because I really had so much more I wanted to find out from him.
I perfectly understand the sort of narrow path in which you have to maneuver here, so I do understand.
Okay, so I'm just going to play you one of our initial conversations. The family are going to keep pushing this until they get answers. Martina's family.
Yeah, I don't know what answers they want to hear. Nothing's going to bring their daughter back.
I know, but I guess they want to hear what happened.
Yeah. I don't know. There's nothing that's going to be able to change what happened.
Yeah, but what about coming back?
Yeah, it's too cold there. I don't like the weather.
I'm mad. I'm angry.
I mean, I was furious, so I can only imagine how you feel.
Yeah, I'm furious. That's the word. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to get him, one way or the other.
And the real fact is, and if I don't remember what happened, there's nothing really to say.
I feel like that's such an easy way out. Come on, you must remember something. You don't get. You told me yourself you get flashbacks.
Yeah, but the flashbacks of the scenes, a picture does not tell you a story.
Like, for the last 14 years, this has taken over her father's life completely. He's given up everything.
He allowed it. Yeah, that's his choice.
That's not fair, Farouk. What if it was your daughter? You would do exactly the same. No?
I would have done something different.
What would you have done?
I don't know. I don't want to even think about it.
No, think about it. Like, what would you have done if it were you?
Probably something similar.
Exactly. But my point is, like...
Yeah, Jenny, I'm thinking as a father, as I only have one kid, but he has other kids, and he shouldn't be taken care of. You know what I mean? I don't want to talk about this. Move on, please.
Okay.
It's making me feel uncomfortable.
Oh, sorry, my phone just rang in the middle of that. Yeah, that was really beyond. I mean, I don't even want to give any commentary. It speaks for itself. It speaks for itself. But the point is, Ken Macdonald was paid 20 grand because of Jeffrey Epstein. He knew exactly where the contact came from. And we don't know what was said in the conversation, but anyway, I'm going back to the article, so I don't think I read it to the end. So let me just repeat again that she had been buried under rubble in the basement
of the block where Mr. Abdulhak was living, which I believe it was on Great Portland Street. And like I said, that in this article, which is in the Telegraph, they've got a picture of him with a machine gun, just a casual selfie. Me and my weapon. I guess he must have posted it on one of his social media accounts. Police said that when her body was found, items were missing, including her jeans, a watch, a designer handbag, snakeskin shoes, and Christian Dior earrings. Mr. Abdulhak's disappearance prompted desperate calls for him to return and face trial, but Yemen refused a UK demand for him to be extradited in a one-off request. Lord Macdonald subsequently travelled to Yemen, where he met the suspect and tried to persuade him to return to the UK to face justice. Farouk Abdulhak declined to do so. He said he had met investigating officers from Scotland Yard to discuss the meeting. So when was this? Emails and correspondence contained in the Epstein files show that Epstein spoke with Lord Macdonald early in June 2012. 2 weeks later, on June 20th, the former Director of Public Prosecutions, that's what it stands for, travelled to Paris to meet Shaher Abdulhak, who was Yemen's richest man. The call between Lord Macdonald and Epstein was brokered by Ian Osborne, regarded as a fixer to the rich and powerful. 2 days later, on June 6th, Lord Macdonald told Mr. Osborne, Jeffrey and I have spoken, and I've now also spoken to the other party. We hope to meet in Paris later this month. In a note to Shaher Abdulhak after his phone conversation with Lord Macdonald, Epstein told his friend and business associate, I talked to him, he said, oh yeah, I read that. Epstein went on to explain that Lord Macdonald had been head of prosecutions and advised Mr. Abdulhak that he should focus on what punishment would be acceptable. So I showed all of those emails. Time spent may be a form of house arrest, work, charity. The high-profile nature is a problem. So they literally gave him these ideas of how he could explain himself. Shaher Abdulhak replied, Lord Macdonald said in a statement that he had no recollection of his single call with Epstein, but Epstein's note of their conversation sent to Shaher Abdulhak was clearly inaccurate. Right. Lord Macdonald said, for the avoidance of doubt, I certainly would never have told Epstein that Abdulhak's son would have got bail in the UK should he return. This would have been inconceivable. Equally, there is no such thing as house arrest in the UK, and the idea that his UK sentence could amount to that and charity work is preposterous. He added, I expect Epstein was embellishing our conversation, of which, I repeat, I have absolutely no recollection, for his own purposes. Again, this was my sole contact with Epstein. Before he travelled to meet Mr. Abdulhak in Paris, Lord Macdonald's chambers sent the client a request for payment of £20,000 in advance for attendance at the meeting on June 18th. Plus additional £510 for a first-class return ticket on Eurostar. Matrix Chambers subsequently billed Mr. Abdulhak £685.17. No, sorry, £685.17 for one night's accommodation at the Mandarin Hotel in Paris following their discussions. Lord Macdonald subsequently flew to Sana'a, the capital of Yemen. Yeah, we saw that, where he met Shaher Abdulhak as well as the alleged killer. The peer has declined to say what fee he charged for flying to the country. A solicitor involved in the case declined to make the journey because Yemen was too dangerous. Lord Macdonald told the Telegraph that at the meeting he had tried but failed to persuade the suspect to return to the UK. He said he spent 2 or 3 hours trying to talk him into going back, telling the alleged killer he would probably get 25 or 30 years for murder, adding, "My argument to him was you could be out in your 50s or 60s. Mr. Magnuson's murder prompted an international manhunt. Her alleged killer fled London to Egypt and then boarded his father's private jet to Yemen, according to reports. Shaher Abdulhak, who died in 2020, had earned a vast fortune through an empire built on sugar, soft drinks, arms and oil. Oh, just casually arms and oil at the end. He was a close friend of Ali Abdullah Saleh, the Yemeni president at the time. The Epstein files show he was in regular contact with Epstein, the disgraced financier. Yeah. And that's the other thing is like sometimes they use different like pet names they had and different spellings for things. So I think there's other emails where they've spelt Ken McDonald's name wrong. But there's only so many hours in the day to look at all these emails when it's not even any of our jobs. Mr. Magnuson said he was unaware of Lord Macdonald's involvement until its emergence in the Epstein files. He said, "How can a former prosecutor receive money for working on this kind of case?" That's what I want to know, Mr. Petter. What's your name? Oled Petter. I can't find it. Anyway, that's what I want to know, Mr. Magnuson. I want to know why more people aren't asking this question. Because sometimes I read this stuff and I'm like, am I losing my mind? How can a former prosecutor receive money for working on this kind of case? It makes me think the legal system in the UK is weak in this regard. He said he was astonished to discover Lord Macdonald had met his daughter's alleged murderer. My goodness, this is sensational. This is so compromising. The British authorities were being obstructed by Shaher Abdulhak and his son, he said. Mr. Magnuson said he had turned down an offer by Epstein to broker a meeting with Shaher Abdulhak in November 2012, intended to arrange possible compensation for the death of Martine. Wow. Mr. Magnuson said he had turned down an offer by Epstein to broker a meeting with Shaher Abdulhak in November 2012, intended to arrange possible compensation for the death of Martine. I didn't understand what was being talked about in November 12, but now that makes sense. He said he feared Farouk Abdulhak would never return from Yemen to face justice. Speaking from his home near Oslo, he said, "My suspicion is that any meeting like that would not lead to justice for Martine. I would have compromised myself." Lord Macdonald said in a statement, "My conduct of this case was entirely in accordance with the ethical and professional rules of the bar. The sole purpose of my advising Shaher Abdulhak," this is how judges talk, "you said," "My sole purpose of my advising Shaher Abdulhak was to assist him in achieving his stated desire of securing the return of his son from Yemen to face justice in the UK
for the rape and murder of Martine Vick Magnuson 4 years previously. He thought that as a former DPP, my views would carry some weight with his son. I travelled to Yemen for that purpose, but was unfortunately unsuccessful in persuading Farooq Abdulhak to return. Does anyone believe this? Does anyone believe that little explanation he's given there? He added, at the time, I was a barrister in private practice, and so taking a call of this sort from Epstein would have been an entirely normal part of my professional practice. Since I have no recollection of the call, I speak to pedophiles every day. I can only assume I made no connection between him and any publicity at that time. However, as a criminal barrister, it is true to say that I regularly spoke with people who had criminal records, and it was perfectly normal and ethical for me to do so. It was a regular and conventional part of my professional life. He went on. For the avoidance of all doubt, all my fees were paid by Mr. Abdulhak, and I obviously neither expected nor received anything from Epstein. He said that in the Paris meeting, Mr. Abdulhak was clear that his son had committed these crimes and told me he very much wanted him to return from Yemen. Didn't I just read that his dad told him not to return? I'm so confused. He said that with no extradition treaty between the UK and Yemen, and given the grieving family's campaign for justice, he decided to meet the killer to persuade him to return to the UK. He added, I discussed my visit to Yemen to meet Mr. Abdulhak's son and its purpose with relevant investigating officers of the Metropolitan Police at my solicitor's offices. They obviously also wished to see him return to London. Unfortunately, I failed to persuade him, and so my visit to Yemen was unsuccessful. Something's really fishy going on here. Speaking to the BBC in 2023, Farooq Abdulhak admitted to involvement in what he described as an incident, saying, I did something when I was younger, it was a mistake. Communicating via text message. Yeah, this is to a journalist, not to the Metropolitan Police or any police. It was just an accident, nothing nefarious, just a sex accident, just an accident gone wrong. It's absolutely as nefarious as it could get. In March last year, Scotland Yard made a renewed appeal to Farooq Abdulhak to return to the UK to face trial. March last year. That was in 25. You have been running and hiding for 17 years, said the detective leading the investigation. You participated in a BBC documentary providing your explanation as to what happened. It is time to grow up and face your responsibilities to Martine and her family. I just can't even imagine the meetings that must have gone on behind the scenes to get this story together in the press, in the Telegraph. Nope. I can't get this. I can't get the picture of him for you. Electricity.com has a website about it. See, this is the other thing that we have been learning, is how they spread these stories around to go to the top of the search results. So that becomes the only thing people ever know about when they search. Oh my gosh.
I just accepted some cookies. It's not my machine. Right, no, he's not on there. There's no pictures of him looking like a lord. Anyway, I think that was a major story. Have I shown everything? I've shown that. I just don't know how the police think that people should have any can have any confidence in them with all this stuff going on. I can't. All right, I'm just looking at your comment. Just speculating, but I'm pretty sure the Jacob's descendant thing is a reference to Israel, like the sons of Jacob in the Bible forming different tribes. Yeah, but I'm like, why does he have to be a descendant of Israel to go and see his son? And then they were like, oh, I'll just stamp it, it'll be fine. Like, that's so weird. And again, like, isn't these are things that it's like, shouldn't we be knowing about this stuff? Like, most people have to go to a consulate or an embassy to get a kind of stamp on their papers. This is this guy from the Prsosecutions. I keep forgetting his title. But he's getting this guy who's into loads of dodgy shit. He's called Mr. Evil by Jeffrey Epstein. That's how bad he is. To stamp that he's a Jacob descendant on his passport or whatever it is. Anyway, I think I've spent enough time on him, but I swear there was some meeting about going somewhere else, something to do with Oslo. Oh, maybe that was to do with the parents. Oh, okay. And it said something about I can't remember now, but it was something to do with civil rights or peace and justice embassy. It's just so weird. It's like they literally do the exact opposite. These agencies do the exact opposite of what they have in their titles. All right, so what shall I go to next? So I think I accidentally deleted oh no, right. So yeah, there's this other website that I've come across or that I've used called epsteinweb.org. And you can literally like put someone's name in and it will show you. So I put Steve Bannon in, yeah, and it will show you facts. So I was wondering, Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein were in regular contact from at least 2017 to 2019 until his arrest. According to emails, text messages, and schedules released by the US House Oversight Committee, Bannon filmed about 15 hours of interview footage with Epstein presented publicly as material for a potential documentary that never appeared. Newly released texts show Bannon advising Epstein on how to repair his public image. after renewed scrutiny of Epstein's sex crime history. By the way, another thing that I saw yesterday, so there's so many channels that are doing such a good job of taking one little niche bit of it. And so they were looking into someone who's actually on the map, because they do these little maps. Sorry about the adverts. Right. So this guy, Brock Pierce, he's the crypto connection, and he also was involved in the S trafficking by the looks of it, because he was regularly sending photos of girls to Epstein on his travels. And I've never heard of him, but apparently he's another former child actor from the US. Yeah, so I was watching that yesterday. They did a whole deep dive into it. It was really good. What am I doing? I don't want you to come back. But yeah, so speaking of this map, I've got rid of it. Right. When you put in Matthew Hiltzig, who I'm going to talk about in a minute, he's not connected to Donald Trump or Steve Bannon. And I'm like, but he literally worked for the Trump organization alongside Steve Bannon, as I said at the beginning. During the election, and massively contributed to electing Donald Trump into the White House. Some of Melissa Nathan worked on it as well. Some of his staff stayed on there. But yeah, so I find it very odd that Steve Bannon and Matthew Hiltzig, I just feel like they definitely knew about each other at the very least. Right. Newly released texts show Bannon advising Epstein on how to repair his public image after renewed scrutiny of Epstein's sex crime history. Other messages show Epstein coaching Bannon on pro-Trump talking points. Yeah, because obviously we know that Epstein was besties with Bill Clinton and the Clintons. On pro-Trump talking points and media strategy during a 2018 political campaign period. Epstein's daily schedules list planned meetings with Bannon after Epstein was already a registered offender, including a breakfast in early 2019. Everyone knew that he was an offender. And these people all have official posts in government. They're all at the top level, along with the what's-his-face who gave him the sweetheart deal, Acosta, who was on the staff. It's just impossible that they didn't know what was going on. Epstein's daily schedules list planned meetings with Bannon after Epstein... Oh, I just read that. Documents also link both men to other key figures in Epstein's network, including Donald Trump, Peter Thiel, Michael Wolff, and publicist Peggy Siegel, through overlapping projects and conversations. So, for example, this woman, Brianna Butler, now Kozlow, she worked for Peggy Siegel and then went and worked for Hiltzig on the Johnny Depp campaign. Despite this extreme contact, Bannon has not been charged with any Epstein-related crimes. The records describe political and media strategy, not direct participation in trafficking. Okay, but you're completely missing the point with this kind of... I know this is like... This is what everyone's saying. It's like, well, they didn't take part. They're not. I mean, they're just sending each other messages about the size of girls' bodies and how old they are, and can you arrange a visa and a passport and how much money to send over. That doesn't mean they're directly involved in a sex trafficking ring. When Congress released thousands of pages from Jeffrey Epstein's estate, Steve Bannon's name appeared repeatedly. The materials include text messages, threads between Bannon and Epstein, emails discussing media projects, political strategy, and public relations, calendar entries with reminders of scheduled meetings. These records place Bannon not on the margins, but inside Epstein's late life network, especially in the years just before Epstein's 2019 arrest. They show the two men talking as peers, one a convicted offender with deep connections to money and power, the other a high-profile political strategist tied to Donald Trump and the MAGA movement. Does it say that I looked his Wikipedia up, and yeah, he's, like I said, he was an investment banker at JP Morgan. So we've got the unreleased redemption tapes. It's just unbelievable. 2 hours. I'm not going to show all of it. There was some little tidbits that I saw in that. There's so many messages about different races and religions and the problems between them. There's no affiliation between any of them. The whole anti-Semitism thing, by the way, there was something about some guy that I think, I don't know what happened to him, but he was treated badly by Trump when he got into power, and because this guy had a thing against Trump because he called him a fat little Jew. So if you want to talk about being anti-Semitic, that guy has used slurs against people. It's just a joke. But yeah, they were talking about the Islam thing. Tommy Robinson. I'm going to show you quickly because I couldn't believe it when I saw that. Right, let me show you. Yeah, and they don't really care about any of these religions. They just enjoy what they can make out of nations destroying each other or being destroyed, and using people's beliefs to create wars. Tommy Robinson, right? Have I spelled it correctly? Look. So they actually celebrate it when he gets out of jail. Also, another thing I noticed was they followed anyone that got arrested for any kind of a sexual assault or any kind of... There was some guy from Liberia, I think it was. And it was literally a photo of him. I definitely would not show that on my channel, but it was like a photo of him, like with naked in a bedroom with two redacted people in front of him on the bed. And that was sent between Epstein and Bannon. Like, or it might have been the other one. The other guy that he sends so many messages. Actually, I think I'm getting confused. But I mean, it doesn't matter. It's like, but the other guy from the UAE, he's like really, really good friends with. I forgot his name for a minute, but I'm sure it will come up because he's probably CC'd on some of the messages. The one who's pictured making eggs in his kitchen on the island. So, ooh. When is this? This is in 2019. It takes a long time to go through all these messages. But they send all these messages to each other like this. Problem is their country is nothing but Poland and Baltic important. Like, what? Like, they literally talk about countries like they're playing some kind of like board game or something. You are too smart to waste your time. Get serious. Oh my God, I just read something really rude. I'm sorry. This has come up in the Tommy Robinson search. What is going on? The lady with the dog, also translated from Russian as lady with lapdog, which depicts what at first seems a casual liaison between a cynical married man and a woman who meet while holidaying in Yalta. Neither expects anything lasting from the encounter. Unexpectedly, though, they gradually fall deeply in love and end up risking scandal and the scrutiny of their family lives. The story masterfully captures their feelings for each other, the inner transformation undergone by the disillusioned male propagandist as a result of falling deeply in love, and their inability to resolve the matter by either letting go of their families or each other. What on earth? Oh, this is Woody Allen. Oh my God. I literally thought... Oh, there it is. It's like 1 minute they're talking about, did you put your fingers up there? And then it's like, oh, there we go. Look, he sends an article. Far-right anti-Muslim UK activist Tommy Robinson convicted in contempt case. This was over the grooming gangs trial that was happening in the UK, which is like the biggest dog whistle to any far-right channel. So yeah, where are all those far-right people right now that these people like literally were talking about your boy? And then it said something like, the pound, that's why the pound's so low. That's what it said. I can't find there. That's why the pound's so low. I think this is a really bad formatting of the overall messages. Jeffrey, thank you of thinking of me. I appreciate the care you have given me. I received the money. We'll try to transfer it. Now, Tommy Robinson has made his whole career out of complaining about immigrants to the UK. All these people do is talk about bringing immigrants into the country. And anyway, I don't know why I clicked on that, because it was a very short mention of him. But I think there's actually like an actual text exchange that I saw about it. Maybe this one. Oh yeah, no, this was the... This was when I was like, they want to connect Tommy Robinson to Ehud Barak from, well, we all know, well, I think anyone watching this probably knows who he is. The former defense minister of Israel and president, who Virginia Jeffrey accused of raping her. Again, so little response from the media on that. So he sends this, they love sending each other links to articles. Daily Beast, this was in, when was this? 2019 again. Aaron Klein. And you're like, who's Aaron Klein? You look him up and he's like some top connected businessman. You're just like, what? How many of these people are involved? Did you reach Mike or anyone on his dog NATO aspiration? DSG, sorry. His spelling is so bad. Yes. It's just so casual. Oh, so this is the actual text. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. But anyway, yeah, this is where they're saying about Tommy Robinson there. So they're sending the article and it says backbone of England. And he says, Epstein says, that's why the pound's so low. And Bannon says cheap at any price. So, yeah. There are definitely more mentions, I think. Oh, what's this? The state of Gwinnett County, Georgia. Valerie Dirksen and her role as president of International Children's Rights Advocates. International Children's Rights Advocates. Complaint for damages. Michael K. Gellenfeld. What the earth is this? Oh, maybe it's got Tommy Robinson mentioned in it. Around 2011, a self-proclaimed journalist named Paul Kendrick began to publish numerous defamatory statements against plaintiff Michael Gellenfeld and the above referenced organization, falsely claiming plaintiffs sexually abused children. On or about January 31, 2011, Mr. Kendrick emailed several of the organization's benefactors spreading such vile falsehoods that the plaintiff sexually abused children. What have I walked into now? On February 6, 2013, a lawsuit was filed by Hearts with Haiti and above referenced plaintiff Michael Gellenfeld against Paul Kendrick for defamation, false light. Why has he got this? Why on earth has he got this? I might have to look into this later. On February 18, 2020, defendant Valerie... This is in 2020. What? Okay, I'm not looking at this right now. I don't know what the hell that's doing there. Oh. It's taken me out of it. Oh my God, not these ones. Some of these messages are just so weird. Like, you're like, are they joking or this is why it's really hard to prepare, because you see things and then you close it and then you're like, oh, I can't find it again now. But and it's like, that's a super long chain of messages that I just can't even be bothered to read through the whole lot. Anyway, what's this one? Tommy Robinson. This is 2018. Tommy Robinson, good work. Thanks. You sound like Bush in Iraq and Clinton in Libya. LOL. You guys are the best at it. I'm looking to its impact in Europe again. Chris Steinacht always has the big fire symbols that cause many not to listen further. Consider the beginning of the Holocaust. That's one way to describe it. Come join us at Auschwitz opening night special. Wow. Tom and Henry believe that China wants to weaponize and control their consumer base. Steve Bannon, incredible. Weaponize, as in stop buying Western goods. All consumers digitalized, evaluated. They get points for certain behaviors. This is the next 10-year plan. They say if you want our 500 million people buying X, we want Y, and if Z says no Microsoft products, it's not like Donald asking people not to buy Toyotas. In China, the next day, no Microsoft products sell. Genius. Steve Bannon says, total control. How much anti-China propaganda do these people put out? Z has moved the party above government, lots of tentacles. They used to be side by side. He's actually talking about the Chinese president or prime minister, like he's his best pal. Total control, it's what we have going for us. I just want to go back to this Tommy Robinson thing, because he's like, Tommy Robinson, good work, thanks. Total control. I'm just saying, I'm just reading the messages out. Again, I've not really seen too many people talk. I've not seen anyone talking about this. Maybe a couple of mentions, but they're not English, so they're not probably that interested in Tommy Robinson. But I already made a video about him, like, at the beginning of my channel when the riots were happening. We had riots in the UK because of him and Nigel Farage, who we know is backed by Bannon. In fact, these people are all very much part of British MAGA. Yeah, they put out false information that about who had stabbed those poor girls. And then they just went on and on saying that Starmer was withholding information, that they needed that we needed our women and girls protected. I mean, if you want women and girls protected, why are you in league with these lot? Just a very obvious question. Anyway, I didn't think this was going to be too long. It's already gone way longer than I expected. So I think I'm going to just do quickly. I'm just going to see. Sorry, my nose is running as well. It's like I've been really sick this week, and now I just feel like I've been out today, and maybe it's affected my nose. I don't know. I don't have a tissue to hand. Right, let me play this.
Humanize or giving advice on how to humanize Epstein. It was also Richard Branson.
Oh yeah, Richard Branson was another one that came up. Another one that I've hardly seen anything. I've hardly seen anything about it.
And that was trying to humanize or giving advice on how to humanize Epstein. It was also Richard Branson, the famous billionaire. He was caught emailing Jeffrey Epstein saying, "Dear Jeffrey, it was really nice seeing you yesterday. The boys in water sports can't stop speaking about it. Anytime you are in the area, would love to see you as long as you bring your harem." I don't know. That's not that ambiguous, guys. I think we can imagine what that means. But anyways, he says, one, I think if Bill Gates was willing to say that you've been a brilliant advisor to him, that you slipped up many years ago by sleeping with a 17-and-a-half-year-old and were punished for it, that you've more than learned your lesson and have done nothing that's against the law since. And yes, as a single man, you have a penchant for women, but there's nothing wrong with that. Anyway, something along those lines. He's giving him PR advice. How to get your reputation back. Hey, Jeffrey, privately, I loved you. You can come back anytime with your harem. Jeffrey Epstein responds, nice seeing you. Thanks for your hospitality. I appreciate your public relations thoughts. Now, according to the New York Times, a Branson representative said the two had a business meeting and stressed the women were adults and had not attended the meeting. All above board. That's what everyone says, by the way. Remember what Elon Musk said, right? That's the playbook. Admit nothing, deny everything. Speaking of, remember Howard.
It's the way. I just turned my camera off, sorry. It's the way you just get this announcement in the press. Well, he's obviously lying. That's not how it was. I never did no such thing. And then it's like nothing happens. We all supposed to move on when we've literally just seen it for ourselves. So weird. It's like being in the Twilight Zone, they used to call it.
Lutnick, who we showed on video saying that he had never seen Epstein since 2005.
So I was never in the room with him socially, for business, or for even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross.
Although also calling him the greatest blackmailer ever.
This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever.
Well, also according to the Times, Lutnick said he spent zero time with him, even though there are emails basically to the contrary, where Epstein is saying, nice seeing you after the conviction. I mean, these people, not only are they lying, they won't even admit when they've been caught lying. But now let's talk about Prince Andrew, too, who was caught lying over a woman at some kind of a party. I mean, just not a good, this is not doing you any favors, you know. I know Prince Andrew soon will probably be on the comeback tour. It's going to be a bunch of highly paid PR execs. Maybe Steve Bannon can jump in, shoot another 5-hour podcast trying to rehabilitate him. Like, Prince Andrew, what's the secret behind the royal family?
Look, you're the smartest guy in the room.
But again, has he admitted anything? Has he denied everything? Now, we should also probably talk about Noam Chomsky as well, the guy behind the book Manufacturing Consent, which in hindsight, maybe we should have suspected something. But either way, he also sends some reputational advice to his buddy Jeffrey Epstein. He says, I watched the horrible way you've been treated by the press and public. It's painful to say, but I think the best way to proceed is to ignore it. When the vultures dearly want is a public response, which then provides a public opening. In general, I think it's best not to react unless directly questioned, particularly in the current mood. That's the best advice I can think of. No. Now, he sends that to Matthew Hiltzik of Hiltzik Strategies, who is a also famous PR guy, I guess, trying to help Epstein, I assume, who
This is why I'm pausing, why I wanted to play this clip, because I was like, I've been talking about Matthew Hiltzik for months and how he works for Mr. Beast. And I've made a video about CoffeeZilla. It was a little bit cheeky, but I just said, look, CoffeeZilla says he does investigations. His work on this is really, really good. But he did an investigation in Mr. Beast's crypto scams. And he's now being sued by Logan Paul. He's been sued by Logan Paul like over a year ago, I think. So I was like, does CoffeeZilla know that Melissa Nathan, who's on the court documents of his Logan Paul lawsuit with Alex Seeley, does he know that they used to work for Matthew Hiltzik up until very recently? That they still probably that they're in seriously similar circles. Like, look how many collaborations Mr. Beast does with Logan Paul, and Hiltzik goes out doing public speaking about Mr. Beast products and how great they are and what a great investment they are. And they're currently doing stuff for the Saudi government. So, yeah, I don't think when he was like, I guess, I don't think he understood the legacy there. And I just feel like a lot more of these connections are connecting for me than some other people out there. The other thing I'm going to show, let me just see if there's any more of this actually.
responds, I think that is wise. Now, later talking with Bannon, Epstein loops in Hiltzik again. He says, Matt Hiltzik thought your idea was epic. Hypocrisy of the liberal left. And he says, yep, he would confidentially like to sit and help if you like. This is.
So, yeah, they're planning this like comeback documentary, which I've said this already. Like, when you see a documentary and it's exposing someone, really, realistically, it's getting ahead of the narrative and giving you their version of the exposure. But yeah, I think again, this whole thing of the MAGA movement and the red pill or the manosphere is where Matthew Hiltzik and Bannon and all these people are tapped 100% in. And that was all going back to this time of 2019, coming out of getting Trump into power the first time around. You can just see how it's infiltrated more and more, and how it's affecting genuinely men. And I was thinking about it as well. Like, Andrew Tate is really the Tamu Jeffrey Epstein. Like, he literally wanted to be a Jeffrey Epstein in his head, but he really wasn't anywhere on that level. But anyway, they had this whole video. I'm not going to play too much of CoffeeZilla's video because you can obviously go and watch it. He has millions of views. But yeah, there's this whole video. It's like nearly 2 hours long. Let me just play you like a second of it. Oh. What is he talking about? They were going to put him on all these podcasts. There's so many of them. It's really wild. But I mean, just going back to Matthew Hiltzik, obviously Matthew Hiltzik was in contact with Jeffrey Epstein after that meeting, because when was that?
he just showed those messages? I think you could actually put him into. He deserves his own whole episode, but we can only do so much in one night. I just wanted to do some little bits and bobs. Did I say about, I was trying to find it before I came on actually, but I didn't have enough time. He asked him a question like, what was it like the day of the financial crash? You know, the industry that you've worked in your whole life and you missed it. And Jeffrey Epstein was like he's just not really, I don't know, he's just not relatable in any shape or form, but he just seems like he's so distanced from everything. But he was like, well, you know, I was in a cell, so I didn't think anything of it. But then he was saying that he was on the phone to people. And then he starts going into this thing. I couldn't find it. I didn't have time. Maybe I'll do a second episode. But he starts going into this thing of the financial crash happened because of immigrants and black people being allowed to buy houses because of Clinton. I was like, I don't know. I just couldn't believe it. The blatant racism and the blatant like misunderstanding of what the actual financial crash was caused by. I don't know if he was trying to lean into that MAGA thing, or he really doesn't understand that it was the whole derivatives market and that the whole financial markets are out of control, that they built on debt. It's not the fault of black and Hispanic people that they were sold mortgages that they didn't need, or that they couldn't, that they weren't going to be able to keep up with. And then, or anyone, no matter of their color. And then on the back of that, these derivatives markets went out of control, making money on them crashing. That was what they made money on. They were like, this market's going to crash, so they were selling bonds to bet against the housing market falling. It's just sick. But black and immigrants are the problem. But anyway, it just shows you what they're really about as people. One more little thing I'm going to do before I go. I need to try and remember this guy's name. Okay. You know, the Pizzagate thing, yeah? I had this all on my I had this all set up on my iPad, which has just run out. But I came up with this guy's name that was in the files. It was in the emails, and he worked for the Podesta organization. Okay, let me see if I can find it quickly, because I think this is really interesting. No, not the Podesta emails. I want Podesta group. Right, so one of the emails, it wasn't John, because people are like, oh, John Podesta's not even in the apps, it's hardly in the emails. I'm like, yeah, but you missed out. This other guy, anyway, I'll have to try and remember. You have to give me a second. But yeah, the Podesta group, if you don't know, represented, as of 2016, the interests of Russia's largest financial institution, Sberbank of Russia, which controls
approximately 30% of Russian banking assets. Going back to this, he was a Russian spy or Russian agent or whatever. The Podesta Group also carried out public relations work for the government of Azerbaijan for a monthly fee of $60,000 plus expenses. Between 2009, the Podesta Group represented more than 24 sovereign governments, according to thorough filings of the U.S. Justice Department. Represented Afghanistan, Vietnam, Switzerland, Georgia, India, Iraq, Japan, Hong Kong, Thailand, Saudi Arabia, and Cyprus, among others. Let me see if I put in Podesta. It might give me too many. So this is where we get to the Peter Thiel thing as well. It's just, honestly, it's like the biggest board with red string you could ever imagine. I don't recognize. It's just amazing how many messages Soon-Yi Previn is on. That's Woody Allen's daughter. They're obviously sending these emails around. But I just don't think anyone spotted this name. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me put my camera off. I'm going to be wrapping it up quite soon. I can't find my camera. All right, 1 sec. Got it. It's Will Bolen. Okay, right. Sorry for the intermission then. Will Bolen. Okay, Will Bolen. Oh, I spelled his name wrong. Okay. I must have spelled his name wrong. Will. And it was all this weird stuff about how they were going to take that movie or do some recording and post it on some weird website, YouTube channel. Will Bolen, Managing Director, Cogent Strategies. Right? This guy. Oh my God, go away. Right. As a senior communications specialist for Cogent Strategies, Will Bolen draws on... I can put my camera back on. His experience managing communications for a leading global policy institute where he amassed an enviable Rolodex. I hate that word. When we last used Rolodexes, wasn't it in the 80s? Of foreign policy leaders and international media connects to help clients' messages reach the right audiences around the world. More. He spent almost a decade at the German Marshall Fund, working in both Brussels, you know what goes on there, and Washington, D.C., leading strategic communications and serving as spokesperson for the 160-person Policy Institute as the GMF's first communications staffer based in Europe. Anyway. Earlier in his career, Will honed his media relations skills as a member of the media himself, reporting for the Chicago Tribune, the Tribune's Red Eye edition, and as a freelance reporter. Will also served as the chief researcher for The Survivor, Bill Clinton in the White House, the New York Times best-selling history on the presidency of Bill Clinton. Well, until 2017, he was senior vice president at Podesta Group. Yeah? He's in the emails. I swear to God. Have I spelled Will Bolen? Do I have to do capitals or something? Maybe if I just put Bolen. Let's see what comes up. Dion Warwick? No. This is crazy. No. Oh no, it's gone. Honestly. How would I have known that who this guy even was? I'm losing my... Okay, I'm going to have to go to the Epstein org now because this has ruined my whole thing. I'm like, they're all communicating on these emails and talking about how they're going to rehabilitate Epstein's image. And this was in 2017, this started. As Trump began his presidency, Steve Bannon was ousted, but he was still in contact with them all, with all the people that worked there, as was Epstein. Some of them. They were obsessed with Donald Trump, by the way. Yeah, they're talking to this guy about posting something on this YouTube channel, and I was just like, what the hell? And it was this Will Bolen. And then I realized he worked at Podesta, and I'm like, hang on, isn't this around the same time where they started putting out the Pizzagate stuff? it was just really weird. But maybe I'll have to do some to find my old research and go back to where I found it all, because I'll tell you what, my iPad does this really weird thing when I have like loads of screens open, and then suddenly they all just disappear and it just gives me one new window, and then they're there somewhere but I can't find them again. So I didn't get it ready. But I'm just going back to this Epstein org thing about Steve Bannon, but I'd be here all night if I started getting too into Steve Bannon. So how do I search? Okay, let me just do one more lucky dip. Well, because otherwise I feel like I'm losing it. Bolan. I do know for a fact though that a lot of the files have been removed, because I've got at least 3 saved, and I have a little like reference, my little reference library server on Discord for myself where I keep everything. And I clicked on a couple of them earlier today and they've gone, and I'm like, damn. Right, if I put in Will Bolan Epstein files, nothing comes up. Stephen Cohen, no, it wasn't him. This is so weird, because I swear to God, I would never have known who that guy was if I hadn't seen it there. I swear to God, I'm not making it up. Right, I think I'm going to end it because I'm feeling really rough and I don't want to keep sniffing and whatever. But I hope this has been interesting for some people. Lots of little avenues to carry on your own explorations even. You're not surprised Tommy Robinson's in there because of how much rage he directs at immigrants and women despite the crimes he's committed against immigrants and women. Well, yeah, I know it makes sense to us, right? But you know, I couldn't believe Sean Atwood was in there. I know you're not from the UK, but there's this guy called Sean Atwood, and he's just such a con artist. It's so obvious. And another guy that I've been making videos about that no one cares about is oh my God, he worked in the finance world as well. He was a stock trader. Name's gone. My brain's gone dead. It's been a really long day. I can't even tell you. But Gary Stevenson. There's this guy called Gary Stevenson, yeah, and he's like meant to be a socialist, and I'm like, guys, this is not a socialist. This is a capitalist. This is someone that worked in the city. He's a trader. He started a YouTube channel telling everyone he wants to reduce tax. He's sponsored by the heiress to the Disney fortune. How are you falling for this? And I've had people come into my comments and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. How dare I insult Gary? He does so much good for people. Okay, I'm done. But you wait until you all come running back going, oh yeah, how did we miss that? But yeah, they Sean Atwood is in the Epstein files, and it's so embarrassing, and he's probably loving it. But he went round to Ghislaine Maxwell's old house in Belgravia and knocked on the door and was like, I'm doing my investigative journalism. And he's another one. His channel got really big from doing like Jimmy Savile commentary. Then he has an actual woman that says she's a victim of sex trafficking on his channel, who he's basically sleeping with and doing drugs with, trying to get her started as a YouTuber and doing a GoFundMe for her. He is just, and during the Diddy trial, he was one of the people that had to delete all his content because he was getting hit with so much legal threats about it being misinformation. But yeah, I made a video about him, and people tell me, oh, he's exposing everyone, he's exposing the elite. And it's like, how are you being so blind that that they're all on the same team, these people? It's actually, this is what I'm going to end with. I've actually felt like my role in doing this tiny little channel is, which I enjoy it anyway, but it's more important than ever because we cannot rely on any hardly, there's so few media sources that actually give a shit about this stuff. Honestly, it's some of the content has been really good. The deep dives, I love watching a 4-hour deep dive on this stuff. I can watch it all day, well, not all day, but like every day, because everyone's got their own little things that they're interested in or that they have a bit of expert knowledge in. Mine being this whole thing with the PR, with how they use social media accounts. Thank you, angels in the flesh blood. That's really nice. I'm right about the others. I know. It's like, honestly, I didn't have a clue. I started doing I genuinely watched YouTube just as a viewer. I was like, I loved it. I just enjoy all the different content, and I just couldn't understand why there was just so much shit being shown to me. And then I got mixed up in the whole BJ thing, and then I started making my own videos, and then I've just kind of seen it for what it is. Like, there's very, very few people that are really being honest and really care about any of the stuff that they say they care about. You know who else I need to get into on the Epstein files is Piers effing Morgan. Like, he's one of the biggest hypocrite bullshitters. And like, yeah, these Sean Atwoods and all the Geordie guy, like, they're so fake, pretending that they care about any crimes or anything like that. It's all about their half of them are either like a lot. Financial fraud is a big one, or dealing drugs. Like, I'm not being funny, but and I'm not trying to be judgmental, because everyone has things they have to go through in life. In fact, today I wanted to say this. Where I work, yeah, it's like a public area, and there was a boy down there, and he came up and asked us if we knew where to get weed, and I was like, well, I was with my daughter, and she was like, no, but I don't smoke weed anyway. But I just said to her, when he walked off, he had like a backpack on, a really big bulky backpack on, and I said, I feel like he looks like homeless. Like, he was a teenager. So he came back, and then I started talking to him and everything, and it turned out, yeah, he was homeless. He was 15. He said he's been in 9 different care homes. And my daughter got really upset, and because he was such a sweet boy, and I was just like, it really hits you. Like, these people that are being trafficked, they're just people that have young kids that have grown up in the most unfortunate circumstances, nothing to do with anything they did. They didn't ask to be born into it. And imagine at 15 years old deciding that being out on the streets is a better place to be than wherever you've been housed. It was just awful. So yeah, I just think that, I know it's hard for everyone, but just
the lies and the hypocrisy, just conning people. It's just crazy. I'm missing a lot of your messages here. Because my point is, why do they deserve your money? And people really believe that they're going to do something good. And it's like, yeah, give them your money. Fine. I get it. Like, I've sat there and thought, no, that content creator deserves my money. Like, they've really entertained me. But stop believing that they're going to do anything to benefit your life, because the opposite of that is true. Gary Waterman. Who's Gary Waterman? I don't know him. But thank you so much for all the comments. Yeah, Gary, what's his name? Tommy Robinson has built his career on pretending he cares about the grooming gangs. Really all he cares about is getting his next fix, quite honestly. Bannon is a human barnacle. Breitbart has ruined American politics. Breitbart. Yeah, well, it's ruined Kanye West. I mean, he ain't coming back. I mean, yeah, it's all of this is ruining our world beyond belief. Like, it's crazy. The whole thing, the like I said, he's talking about the Chinese apps there wanting to control people using phones. I said it as a joke. I said this goes back to Epstein. It really seriously, he had his fingers in so many damn pies with these people. And now seeing this whole thing with the justice system, what's going on behind the scenes, and literally no one saying anything about it, it's crazy. None of them want to talk about what fund trafficking, it's the money. Of course, it's literally one big money laundering operation is what we're seeing in these emails. That is all it is. It's money laundering. What did you see the one about he sent one about private jets? Nothing they did was legit. Nothing they did. These are the richest people in the world. And you expect me to believe that Gary Stevenson wants the heiress to Disney wants people to make wants rich people to pay more tax? I don't think so. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else in there that's taken your interest. I'm going to try and look up that Will Boland and get on my Pizzagate theory. I don't think anyone else has come up with that, but it makes sense to me, because I'm like, they were doing a psyop trying to say that, you know, the pedophiles were all from the Clinton party and the Democrats, and all along they were the very I mean, how do they care about that when they're literally talking to these people every day, trying to dismiss this as a crime? It's like, they hide most of the names in, you know what? One thing I will say as well, I think the first place I started, actually, I might do this for my next episode. The first place I started reading a lot of the messages from the survivors, the victims of him, saying how badly they've been let down by the legal teams of the publishing people that promised them all these deals and everything, and how they were being constantly harassed on social media by the very same people that wanted the Epstein files to be released, like that House and Habit woman and Victoria Harvey. So yeah, I was thinking about doing a bit of a deep dive into them, because they deserve it. Anyway, guys, take care. See you soon. Bye.